Hey everyone! Welcome to Metalhead in Mexico. This is Keiko, the Metal Dog, bringing you part 3 in a 3-part series of Leaving the US. Today's topic is going to be about financial preparedness. And so before I dive into that, I would like to just refer you to, if you missed the first 2 videos, I have the links provided in the video content here. And if you're joining me for the first time, welcome to my channel where I cover all things Mexico, metal, and midlife from a Gen Xer's perspective. My husband and I relocated from the United States to Mexico in spring of 2025, and we've been there ever since. I'm a resurgent metalhead who still likes all the stuff I grew up with, jamming and headbanging to. But about 10 years ago, I started on a journey to start discovering new bands from all over the globe. And now that digital format's taken off so much, it's been possible to explore bands that I never thought I would likely hear from or hear about, And additionally, I am a drummer on hiatus. So part of my journey with exploring metal and relocating to Mexico is I want to get back into playing. And so I'm looking for community in Mexico and just looking for community in general as far as Gen Xers, metalheads, worldwide, all that. So if this kind of content interests you, stick around. There's more to come. And thank you again for your early support in this raw and visceral stage of my channel. So with that, I'm going to dive into my financial preparedness topic, which starts off with something obvious that a lot of people might leave out. And that is, now that you know you're ready and you're emotionally ready and you're pretty much set that you are going to make a go with Mexico in some capacity, you want to make sure that you visited already. It sounds like an obvious thing, but it's amazing how I have heard of people who just go on a whim and then next thing they know, they're just flying by the seat of their pants. Now, there are a lot of those people who have the financial means to do that and take those kind of risks, like they're in employment for themselves. They already work remotely. If you may have some more bandwidth to take risks like that, if you do not have to worry about where your source of income is going to come from. But as a Gen Xer, most of us are still working and we're not retirees. And so this journey of relocating to Mexico, getting residency, all that stuff, it looks a little different. So if that is the case for you, I would recommend just giving consideration to some of the things I found that for myself and my husband that we found helpful to help make this dream a reality for us, even though we're still working. So with that said, I would assess what your income sources are and plan a trip. Whatever it is that has to happen. Work a little extra in the short term, save up and get that trip done. That way you can put the question to rest. Is this something you want to do? Is this something you can do? Because one reason I suggest at least just doing the visit and just going all in, doing whatever you need to do short term, is because if you don't know, if you haven't explored it yourself, then you're always going to wonder, should have, could have, would have, and you don't want to do that, especially at our age. Yes, we're not old by any means, but we're not young either. And this is a great time to explore that, assess your priorities. This is a great time to get some clarity. Our midlife crisis? No, is this clarity now? And as we're seeking that clarity, if you see what I see, that Mexico could be your new home, part-time or full-time, then that's something worth doing so that at least you can put it to rest. And if it doesn't pan out, then at least you tried. At least now you know, right? For sure, that you did put a willful effort into it and you found out it wasn't for you. Very well then, but if you don't at least try it, if you don't at least visit, spend some time, then you'll never know. You'll always just be wondering if. And going by what people say about it also isn't probably very smart, especially if they've never been. If they go by what they hear on the news, if they go by what so-and-so said, and also usually from people who spent time in just certain key areas that just don't really indicate at all an entire country, right? I mean, nobody likes that, right? Nobody wants to be judged based on what just some little swath of our country does, right? Necessarily. And so it's the same there. So give it some grace, give it some time, give it the time and attention. It's nagging at you. You want to check it out. So do what it takes to do that. So assessing your income, though, is going to be something that I'll actually cover this later, but assessing your income options once you know that Mexico is for you for sure. Once you've done the trip, then yes, we'll dive into that. But in the meantime, I am going to recommend a few tools, and these are some tools that my husband and I relied on very heavily, and we found kind of a mishmash way of kind of making them work in tandem with each other, and that helped us zero in on cities that we liked. We are city people ourselves, but you may find whatever your tastes are that you will also do that. So the tools that we tended to use were YouTube videos, Wikipedia, Google Maps, private Facebook groups, and some videos and video channels tended to have some recurring themes that we liked the way they operated, and we wanted to continue working with them. The other thing is going to be some cost of living resources, which I'll share with you. They're called Numbeo and Expatistan. So one of the things that I will do is provide a cheat sheet, and I'll also, in a future video, do a walkthrough of how my husband and I use these tools in real time so that you can see how they work and how you can create a flow for yourself and find out what really resonates with you as far as a potential new home. So if this sounds interesting, let's move on to talking about, say you found like, oh my gosh, it was the greatest trip ever. Now I just got to know what's next. Then you would assess your sources of income. There's of course, there's W-2, which we're always taught is more stable. But in this economy, how stable is that? So that's one thing. W-2 jobs also tend to have more restrictions because of all the benefits that are generally part of the job. So 1099 is honestly the way I've heard that most people get the most freedom to relocate. Because if you are 1099 or on any type of term contract, even if it is W-2, that gives you the flexibility to either, travel when you're not working, or 1099 puts all the tax and liability onus on you. So you are responsible for all of your tax reporting. So that pivot to contract work can open up your options for self-employment, or potentially, you could, if you want to stay with W-2, it does, I think it just is really a matter of what works best for you. But what a lot of people do is they work part of the year in the United States and then come travel in Mexico. And so that could be, we tend to think of doing this obviously as spending the warmer part of the year in the north and then shifting to the south. But there can also be benefits to doing it in the reverse and traveling in Mexico during the summer months and coming back to the States for the other part of the year. And the reason for that is because the summer months is the off season, and there's a lot of cost savings to be had, including especially for longer stays, for extended stays. Generally the rates are much better anyway, but for extended stays especially, a lot of cities have slow periods where they have a hard time filling their spaces. Because people aren't traveling as much. So that can be a great time to get some economic travel done and added exploration of cities that you might like. So that's it for now. I hope that this was helpful to you. I will be covering this in a future video where I will do in real-time navigation to help you understand how we use these tools so that you can hopefully optimize how it works best for you. That's all I got for today. Thank you for joining me, and see you on the next one. Blessed are the weird. Ciao for now.